Good morning. I'm going to talk to you about a case that I admit I don't know much about as yet. Um, One of the Humanimal channel viewers, Rag Picker, has mentioned it to me, and I thought, well, I'll just riff on it a little bit with what comes up for me when thinking about the case, just from the brief headlines and things that I've read. And why am I going to do that? Because I've lived in Sydney and I live in Brisbane, where the accountant and lawyer live, and I'm going to look in further detail into them. But I'm just going to give you some opinions. It's all obviously just opinion. My perceptions based on my life and experiences. So, it's not like it's judgments based on analysing any particular facts that I have that other people don't have or anything like that. So, Melissa Caddick. So she's my age. She's 49. She's got a husband 11 years her junior called Anthony Kotelli. Anthony bills himself as a DJ, as a hairstylist. Anthony stopped working at the Joe Bailey salon in Sydney's Double Pay, as we would call Double Bay, during COVID. And COVID brings me to one of the first reasons why I think things might have come crashing down for Melissa and for Anthony. So Melissa, she's an investments woman. She's set up her own business called Maliva, Maliva. I don't know if it's Maliva. And she did this around the time she married Anthony. She met Anthony when he gave her a wonderful blow dry. And actually, this is what the Joe Bailey salon is famous for. So it's famous with celebrities, with ladies who lunch, with people just living their best life or just spending the best amount of money. And it's in an east suburb of Sydney, so just outside of the city, on the southern side of the harbour, that swings around past Woolloomooloo, where there's finger wharves, where celebrities like John Singleton might own millions of dollars worth of apartment. You've got Potts Point. It keeps swinging around Rushcutters Bay. This is where all the yachts are kept. Out again, on the way out through Rose Bay, Double Bay, Edgecliff, Double Bay, Double Pay, Rose Bay, rudely called Nose Bay, Vaucluse, and then you get to one of the headlands of Sydney Harbour, so South Head, and South Head swings down toward Bondi Beach, which is on that ocean side of that south side of the peninsula of the Heads. And coming down toward Melissa and Anthony's home at Dover Heights, you come past an area called The Gap. And The Gap is famously a suicide spot, and a man called Don Ritchie, he lived there for 45 years of his life with his wife, and he's a World War II veteran, and he saved hundreds of lives. We don't know how many, but it is in the hundreds, and he has an Order of Australia medal for his efforts, and he's kind of the grandfather of our Are You OK Day, which we have in September every year. But basically that's to promote the importance of just asking people, are you okay? It's a fact. Just asking saves lives. So I just want to say that. So you come down off South Head, past the Gap, down into Dover Heights, which it's is on its way to Bondi Beach, an iconic beach. And this would have been part of where Melissa and Anthony would have spent some of their time enjoying the lifestyle of the rich. So they'd be at Iceberg's restaurant, they'd be enjoying the glamorous life that Sydney has to offer. Sydney is a behemoth of a town. It is a heaving leviathan. And if you're a fan of certain writers, you'll know John Birmingham and you'll know his book, Leviathan. Sydney is a place to be up. Sydney is a place to be living your best life. It's a place to be expressive. It's a place to be involved in the scene, to be seen. It is a place for money, money, money. It's a place for fun, glamour, excitement, excess. Sydney is loud, proud. It's a show off. It's the narcissist city of Sydney. We have Melbourne with its own sort of vibe. You know, we've got the Desperate Housewives of Melbourne. There is the TV show here too, and it's a different vibe to Sydney. Melbourne doesn't scream about its style. It just does it. It still can be excessive, but it's a different type of trend and fashion and fantasy. Sydney is where you go to make it or break it. And Melissa and Anthony had a $7 million home in Dover Heights, set back from the cliff face. Melissa often would go running. Melissa has a 13-year-old teenage son. So 2 weeks ago, what happened? Well, things were coming to the head because the Australian Federal Police knocked on her door because she was being investigated by ASIC, the Securities Commission, for fraud, for massive fraud. And it would have been massive fraud. They were very open with the glamorous, expensive lifestyle that they lived. They weren't living the Melbourne stealth wealth lifestyle. They were living the Sydney shouted out lifestyle. They were ostentatious with their wealth. They didn't just go on a holiday to show a beautiful photograph of themselves on the beach, just glowing with health and happiness and being together, relaxing together. It was about where they went. And, you know, it does make me wonder the connections that both of them made in their separate careers has led them to meet people that have a lot of money and have a lot of contacts. And Melissa's career taught her how things operate. Fundraising is a very specific type of finance. So is working for someone like the NRMA. In Australia, we'd have, you know, the different states have the huge motor body insurance companies. Up here where I am, it's the RACQ. They are magnificently wealthy, and members enjoy the best golf clubs in the world, down on the Gold Coast, things like this. They have lavishly expensive members who have lavishly exciting lifestyles. And the NRMA, who Melissa trained with, you know, that's the motoring body of New South Wales. It's money, money, money. It's high rolling. It's high finance. She then goes and has a famous blow wave, a blow dry by Anthony at Joe Bailey's salon, I would imagine it is. That's where he was working. I'd say he had a long-term career there. I will find out more. But I'm just wanting to bring you my perspective. And he would have had a lot of very rich hair running through his very probably ambitious hands. And he's 11 years younger. Not sure when they met, but they married when she was 42 and he was 31. It's funny, I mean, as I got older, my men got younger too. Had to stop that by the time I got to 40 because, you know, comes a time. Anywho, digressing. A young man, well connected. She's seen the way that people live and she's got the skills now to make some money, or at least to know how to get it and perhaps hide what she's really doing with it. And did they know what they were doing together? Because is Anthony helping her hide? Well, he wouldn't want to be left behind with the son, but maybe they think they're going to join up later. But he knows that he can't just disappear as well. Is it that Anthony, the husband, wouldn't want Melissa talking because he's involved and he's just as involved? He's made introductions with the knowledge of what was going to happen to those people's fortunes. And has Clusterfuck 19 meant that a lot of them have wanted to cash out and know where their money is. Maybe they've wanted to invest in other things. Maybe they've had to liquidate. Maybe their businesses have gone down the tubes. They want some ready cash and they've called it in. Melissa wouldn't have it to give because she's spending it just like any good Ponzi scheme, maybe. Allegedly, I'm just guessing here. I don't know. But certainly the two of them together with the circles that they had both been moving in, they were perfectly set up with, number one, knowing what money can get you, especially in Sydney, and when you see it, if you know that you can get it, you would want it even more. They were both very well positioned to take advantage of people and to know how to gain money and access to gain trust. And who knows, they could have been in this together. To have a lawyer up here now in Graceville, which is further in from the city up the river, it's a place where it floods during the main floods, but it's a well-to-do area. It's an area where the homes tend to be a little larger and it's exclusive. And Jane Muir, I'm going to do some research on her. There's the accountant in Hendra. Why do people use smaller teams like this? Well, because you can ask them to do things a certain way or just guide them to do things a certain way, to make certain reports for you, for your tax returns and things like that, possibly, without the scrutiny of having board of director meetings and partners who are taking cuts of your money, without law clerks who are doing the boring administration for you, filing papers, etc. It's a level of control that you don't get in a large firm, and it gives you a level of anonymity, or that level of, how shall I say it, just freedom, So the door slammed. So what had happened, I think it was on Remembrance Day, 11th of November, when her home, she was visited in her own home in a kind of raid. Security cameras were taken, computers, everything were taken. Strangely, they didn't take her phone because that was left behind with her wallet and her keys. Phone, wallet and keys left behind on the home the next morning, when Melissa has left the house and not been seen again. She was due that next day to go and appear in court to hear charges, I think. So why would the phone be left behind? Well, I'd say it's because perhaps they've been able to obtain records, but they just want to see what husband Anthony does with the phone. Melissa has been reported by the son and the husband as, well, she's not here. She's left the home at 5:30 in the morning. Her normal routine is to run. As a loving husband, would you let your wife, who is under the most enormous pressure of her life, go for a run on her own? No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. You would say, stay here, honey, or I will run with you. You would never let her out of your sight. Would a 13-year-old boy be up working out in the gym? Well, if he's got aspirations of building up his body, yes, there would be 5% of boys that do this. They do this deliberately. They see themselves as slim. They want to be buff. Maybe he's porky and he needs to work out. I don't know. But it's unusual because teenagers, children of this age, go through a phase now where in their development, human beings, in their human being development, they have their rhythm change with when they need to sleep, how long they need to sleep, and they will often be up late and they will sleep dead to the world until mid-morning. Okay, and it is very unusual that he might be working out in the gym at 5:30, but we don't know his usual schedule. Maybe this has been usual for him. Maybe he's extremely stressed out too and he wanted to work out. He couldn't sleep and maybe he just needed to get some energy out. Maybe his younger stepfather has in some way given him a complex and he needs to work out, or maybe he's encouraging him to do something about his fitness. I don't know, but the door slamming, would she normally slam the door to make sure? I mean, that could be the husband slamming the door to make it appear she has left, to make sure the son doesn't miss the fact that, you know, she left out this door. Who else would be murder suspects? Well, absolutely any one of the people that she's ripped off. Many of them would actually live in nearby suburbs, because in Sydney there are the haves and have-nots, and there are enclaves of places where the rich and infamous live, and it's often around that south side and the heads of the harbour, and on the north side, just over the harbour bridge, and various enclaves there. But a lot of them are in that inner east area on the south side, and they would know her routine. Yeah, they would know her routine. They would know where she's living on their money, and if she has gone out for a run, it would be easy to grab her. Unfortunately, at this stage, she hasn't been seen on any security cameras. Women who, women under pressure like this, I think suicide is an option. But, her husband was really enjoying the high life. There was ostentatious spending. Now, you could say he was in the dark. He's a hairdresser. He's a music DJ. He's not really a businessman. He could have been told that his wife, from the day he met her, was very successful. He could have always believed she's legitimate. He may not have questioned anything. But, on the other hand, her meteoric rise, he certainly could have helped facilitate it. So, he may be feeling like, well, it's better if she's not going to take me down with her. Would she do that? Would she want someone on the outside there looking after her son? Well, she'd have her brother to do that, her brother who owned 1% of that home. Now, there will be legal reasons why you don't own a full 100% of something, and that it's 1% belonging to someone that is not your husband. So I'll leave you to speculate on that. I feel and it's interesting. I think the husband looks like he's lost a lot of weight. I don't know how long the investigation has been going on. Has this investigation been going on long enough? She's been knowing about it long enough to make some plans. Did she think the day would never happen? I think when you're doing something like that, you do think the day is going to happen. Look at Bernie Madoff. People know they're running this huge risk and that it could all come crumbling down. You set up safety nets, don't you? You set up escape routes, don't you? Would a woman just have an escape route just on her own? Or would a husband's escape route be that the person that can dob him in is co-conspirator? Would the escape net just be that she disappears? It's a huge mystery. It's a terrifying mystery. We've got yet again more questionable press releases by husbands. So in this case, Anthony is saying, we want you back. You're not in trouble. I mean, what a ridiculous thing to say. You're not in trouble. Everything's going to be all right. In fact, everything would be all right. I mean, she would get through it. She would do some prison time. But obviously, the shame of knowing that people know she's ripped people off, the confrontation from the people she ripped off, whom she pretended to be a good person to. We don't know where this all starts, but I certainly think Sydney's a character here. It's a place you don't want to be down in, and it's a place that when you're up, there's a long way to fall. And I hope it hasn't been the Gap, and I'm not trying to be facetious or anything there. There should have been cameras put up. There have certainly been petitions done for that in the past, I think. The cliff top at the Gap and along those heads there. So you've got quite a broad expanse of just the sandstone, and the cliffs vary in height down, but it's 100 meters sort of thing down to the pounding deep blue Pacific Ocean. In storms, wild storms, the way that the tide and the waves come in and gush up through fissures in the sandstone and in all the little coves. It's a very dramatic place, and you've got the sandstone sort of bare area with bits of scrub, and then there's pathetic little sort of timbery fences, and then there's just the broad coast road which wraps all the way around and down right through Bondi, you know, Tamarama, Clovelly, Maroubra, the Bra, which is where, you know, you're getting on down further toward the Sydney airport. But you've got this sort of the cliff road, and then on only one side of the cliff there are homes. And, you know, people are certainly aware of what goes on there. I mean, there are famous cases where models have been thrown over to make it look like they've committed suicide when they've been murdered by their thug boyfriends. There's a lot of injustices there. There's a big history there, and yet there's still no cameras there. So I'm not saying that's what happened. I mean, certainly I'm sure they've had the Westpac helicopter out searching, up and down police helicopters. They would have sent out the New South Wales Surf Life Saving. There's a very famous show called Bondi Rescue. Some of these bigger clubs, they've got a lot of funds and a lot of very experienced rescue and search people. Who knows who's been sent out, but I would hope that that's what they've done, because, you know, that would be the obvious place for someone just to go or to be pushed. You know, at 13 years old, what is the son going to say when he's questioned by police? Is he going to say it was quiet throughout the night? I wouldn't be getting any sleep. If you're appearing in court to hear your charges like this, you're not sleeping, especially I don't know. Well, they say guilty people fall asleep in their cell, don't they? So who knows? But you know, just like with the case of missing woman Suzanne Morphew, you've got, you know, this period, was it this overnight period, where something's that actually happened quite a bit prior, or, you know, has something happened after 5:30 in the morning? It's summertime here, even in Sydney. I mean, it's not as bright as Brisbane, but even in Sydney at 5:30, it's not dark. There's lots of people out and about, walking their dogs, running. This is, you know, somewhere where, you know, there's people out with their personal trainers along the cliff, all around where her usual running route would be. There'd be people out. Some footage has to turn up. If she doesn't appear on footage that people find, yeah, I don't know how she's left. The husband didn't report her missing. He just turned up for the court date, and she didn't. So, you know, people might think, oh, he's giving her a chance to get away. Would you encourage your wife to get away? And just leave you to be there managing press and things? I really don't like this guy's type. I feel like I'm judging him, but I really don't like his type. He's a poser. I feel like he's certainly wanted more and more and more, and he's really enjoyed it. His pathetic blonde tips in his hair. Grow up, man. You know, it's that cocaine lifestyle. It just makes me think it. And it's just an opinion. It's just an opinion. But, you know, he does look like he's lost a bit of weight, but you could be stressed for any reason, couldn't you? Anyway, this is getting on to 30 minutes, much longer than I expected. So if you've heard of the case of Melissa Caddick, missing from Sydney, Australia, since November, earlier in November, I think the 12th. Yeah, let me know what you think about it. You know, what do you think about the son hearing the door at 5:30, or at least saying that he did? Was it her? Did he hear it? What do you think of the husband, the younger husband who's, you know, really wanted to be around the movers and shakers? He's seen the ladies that lunch. He was probably quite popular with them, and he maybe got a taste for a lifestyle that he couldn't afford himself, you know. And did COVID play a part? People wanting to cash in, and is this where it's fallen down because she's been reported? People have made complaints saying that they're not getting their money back, they're getting the runaround, and they haven't wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt because they've needed their cash, and it's just not there. Yeah, let me know what you think. Thanks for listening.